Hey folks, hope you're doing well out there. So in today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different and share a bit of a personal share from my heart to you about what I think is the most upsetting part of having lived with CPTSD for so long. So for any of you that are struggling with complex trauma and dealing with all the complications that come with that, and there are a lot, let's be honest, I want to share with you my thoughts on reflecting back on that now as someone who I'm in my 40s now. uh, I lived with it for my entire life up until fairly recently. I want to share with you a bit reflecting back on what I feel like is the worst part of it, just from my point of view, for whatever that's worth to you. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so for any of you who are perhaps new to the channel, new subscribers, not familiar with me, and haven't seen all my videos, nor would I expect you to, let me give you some brief context on me and my process, my experience, just so you kind of know where I'm coming from. So, yeah, I basically grew up an only child in a family with two parents who both had their own significant trauma. And at some point, they divorced when I was young. And for the longest time, I thought that was kind of the source of my trauma. And I kind of developed in a way where I really struggled with lots of feeling disconnected and alone, even though I had a lot of friends. And it was kind of a mix of kind of me having a normal childhood and even a happy childhood and a good childhood in a lot of ways, but also there being this kind of underlying current of dysregulation in me that kind of led to habits of dissociation and isolation. And if I can be frank here, by the time I hit my kind of early 20s, I was very lost. I was very lost. I was very dysregulated. By that point, I was doing a lot of psychedelics, partially to try and heal myself, partially just because I was compelled to do them. I was compelled by the experience of them and the spiritual implications of them and all that. But I was digging and trying to find my way out of what continued to be a worse and worse experience of feeling like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, being dysfunctional and kind of under functioning as an adult, really struggling with money issues, really struggling with social anxiety and self esteem issues, really struggling with motivation issues, which was really painful for me because I was in a music scene at the time, an electronic music scene, where I had the talent to make electronic music. I knew how to do it. I was a musician. I had the connections. I had DJ friends and people running sound systems and events and could easily plug in to build a career out of this. I had peers and friends who went on to become really big name DJs and producers. And, that's another tale for another time. But long story short, I was in the right place at the right time with this massive opportunity in front of me and a lot of social pressure, a lot of people looking at me, kind of expecting music to come out of me, me wanting to look good in front of the women I would had crushes on, etc. Right, all of that. And I found myself, the more that that was there as an option, the more I was choking and freezing to produce music. Right? Maybe you can relate to this. Uh, this, of course, all sent me on a big journey of kind of looking inward at why I was choking and undermotivated, looking at why I was dysfunctional, why I kind of would go through these long episodes of dissociation. And I was trying to use psychedelics as a way to kind of crack through that and heal that, uh, along with spiritual practices and a lot of other stuff. Long story short, this all eventually led to me getting into personal development work to try to get my shit together, which led to me studying hypnotherapy and NLP and eventually becoming a coach and building a life path out of it, which is what you're seeing here now, right? If I could be frank, though, it wasn't until in my 40s that I finally found the answers and the techniques and the things that actually started to resolve these patterns of fear, shame, anxiety, feelings of isolation, disconnection, but also wanting to connect, resolving the social anxiety, resolving the lack of motivation, the issues around money, which was a big, painful struggle for me for a long time. And it wasn't until my 40s. And, I truly, sincerely wish I knew what I know now in my early 20s, because my life would have been incredibly different. Right. So that's what I'm dealing with. So compared to some people's histories of abuse or neglect or what, some of the clients I talk to and what they've been through, it can on the surface seem like small potatoes. But let's be honest here that it's not really accurate or fair to compare suffering. right? Or compare subjective experiences at all. Everyone's subjective experience is unique to them, and it's relative to your own life experience, right? So for me, it was difficult and painful. For me, there was a lot of pressure being put on me from family members, from parents, from outside influences, from peers, expecting a lot of things from me, wanting me to show up in a certain way, me wanting to show up a certain way, and then not having any of that happen. And then of course this reinforces cycles of feeling triggered and ashamed and et cetera, et cetera. And in case you don't know, and I'll just add this here because it might be useful for you, and I've made videos about it. There are four trauma response styles that happen when we get triggered, right? So there's fight, flight, which you know, there's freeze, which people commonly know, and there's fawn, which some people don't know. Now, for me, the way I didn't know this at the time, but the way my nervous system got wired up, essentially, the more triggered I got, the more I was prone to freezing. And you can see how that's a hell of a pattern to get into if you want to progress in life, because the more triggered you get, the more you freeze, the more you freeze, the more you don't progress and take action on the things that you might need to, the worse situations get over time. And then that, of course, triggers you more, and it's a nasty cycle, right? So that was the cycle I was in. And this kind of brings me to what I think is in hindsight, the major thing that hurts the most about that, right? So what hurts the most is realizing that I burned the best years of my life, to be frank, the best years of my health, the best years of potential and possibility, the best probably economic years I'll ever live through, in terms of not only my earning potential, but where the economy was at. I burned the best years of my life, you know, in these states of freeze, in these states of dysfunction, in these states of feeling low and depressed and lost and confused, and longing for someone to help me but not having anyone who either was willing to or capable of, you know and the hard part of that for me is the loss of time. It's not the money I didn't make so much, although I was just mentioning that. It's not the loneliness I felt, although that was hard. you know it's not the missed opportunities, although sure, sometimes I still have regret or a little sadness around that. The really hard part is the loss of time, because you don't get your time back, right? Like, that's just fact of life, that time is our most precious asset. And because of the way I was wired up, I was very relaxed about time and did not feel, because I was dissociated, did not feel an urgency to take action to resolve this, which I quite frankly could have used. So as I got regulated, part of this process has meant for me learning how to meet all this with acceptance and compassion, right? Recognizing that that's how it was, and that's how I showed up and what I experienced. And given the way I was wired up and the experiences I had and blah, 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 it all makes sense to me now. So there's a sense of alignment with that. But the thing I would say to you, and the reason I'm sharing this with you, is to really impress upon you not only the preciousness of your time, right? But the other thing I would say to you that I wish I knew then that I know now is that regulation, and therefore centeredness and the ability to excel and heal and move forward in life, is so much closer to you than you think it is. This is the thing I really want all my clients to get, because the illusion from the place of complex trauma is that there's so much to move through. It's going to take so much time to move through it. It's going to be so much hard work, and it's overwhelming, and it's scary, and it's too big, and I'm going to deal with it all at once, and it's so far away, right? And the shocker is that it's really not that far away. It's just not. All you have to do is move your nervous system into a regulated state more often. All you have to do is discover what it feels like to feel regulated, discover how to do that consistently for yourself, and start to unwind this habit at a nervous system level of whatever your trauma response style is, whether that's freezing like me, or kind of getting in a fight state and getting over adrenalized and over vigilant, or a flight state and kind of being avoidant and abandoning and running away anytime something gets hard, right? All of these response styles, like, just as soon as we get regulated. So all you have to do is regulate yourself, and regulating yourself is easier than you think it is. I really want you to get this. You don't have to buy my course. You don't have to like listen to anything else I say. You can think I'm a woo woo, awkward, whatever, whatever your judgments of me might be. Just hear this. All you have to do is regulate yourself. It's that simple. And regulation is so much closer because it is already a capacity in your nervous system. Your nervous system already knows what to do. It just needs the right inputs, just needs to be interacted with in the right way to help it feel comfortable and safe and balanced and regulated. Okay. So I wish I'd known that when I was 22, because man, what I would have done with that time, man, what I could have done with those years and that capability and the potential I had if I'd started working on that potential earlier, right? Big picture, I'm not sour about it. I'm not bitter about it. I love my life. I'm grateful for what's happened, because I wouldn't have probably learned what I've learned and be making this video for you now had I not gone through it the way I'd gone through it. So I see it as part of my purpose in the big picture. But my two messages to you: your time is the most precious thing you have. Don't spend it. Don't spend decades of it like I did in kind of like a low level functioning state, just barely humming by. And I know there are a lot of people out there in the world like that right now, maybe more than ever. You don't have to be like that. And that doesn't mean you have to be some fake way either, where you're like some grandiose, over the top, pie in the sky, like Tony Robbins, fucking Gary Vaynerchuk, fucking Alex Hormozy, like tough it out, like push hard. You don't have to do that either. Just regulate yourself. Just get yourself back to center first and foremost. And then from there, you'll have the clarity, you'll have the honest, authentic alignment with yourself to make good choices for you and move in the direction of life you want to move. So I said this in other videos, but I want to say it here because, a lot of these messages I just need to say over and over and over because not everyone sees every video, right? So itchy nose. Here's the thing to get about personal development work and self-regulation. When you're regulated, personal growth is not hard. It will be confronting, it will be challenging, but when you know how to regulate yourself, you just keep regulating yourself through and bringing yourself back through the process. And then it just gets easier and easier and easier, right? Like, think about learning to do something that was scary the first time you had to learn how to do it. So maybe an example might be riding a bike without training wheels, right? It's a common example. So first time you learn how to ride a bike, it's probably really scary. It's really awkward and wobbly, or maybe the first time you learn to drive or whatever it is. At first it's nerve wracking, right? But you kind of get through it. And then probably for that first little period of time, it's nerve wracking, but you learn to get through it. And over time, your nervous system learns to relax. And then you can ride a bike with no hands, or you can ride a bike and just not even think it's on autopilot, right? That's true for all the successes in your life, right? All your goals, all the things you want to achieve, the money you want to make, the relationship you want to have, the whatever it is, all of that's possible on the back of you being able to regulate yourself through that learning period where you're uncomfortable and where it's new and stressful and strange. But if every time you get into that place, you're so triggered that you just get so dysregulated that you can't learn it, you can't grow, you stay stuck. So I want you to get that all you have to do is regulate yourself and learn how to regulate yourself. And when you know that, then you can grow. You can move forward. You can break through and try the new things out and regulate yourself through it until they become a part of your life if you choose them. And I think this is really, honestly, just from my heart to you, the right way to do personal development work. I think this, like, tough it out, bootstrap it, totally ignoring a person's personal history and traumas, totally ignoring a person's dysregulation. I think that that's toxic. And this is where I cringe a little bit at saying I'm a coach or that I'm in personal development work or things like this, because people expect that kind of messaging from me. But I think that shit's toxic. In fact, maybe I'll post a post here in the community sometime soon of a video. I saw a somatic therapist saying the same thing recently. I really agree. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't grow or reach or optimize your life and live the kind of life you want to live. I think you should. But in order to do that properly, there's this missing piece that I think is just missing in our society at large, which is this ability to regulate our own emotions and to self regulate. And this is really, what I'm passionate about, because I'm realizing more and more and more, the more psychedelic therapy I do, the more coaching I do, the more I work with myself, the more I receive coaching, the more I'm realizing this is the real center of the bullseye, the real heart, the real missing piece for most of us. And when we get this part right, the rest of it, it all flows. It all clicks into place. Change becomes easy. The healing happens easily. And so this is the thing: not eating more mushrooms, not eating more MDMA, not, more spiritual practices, not more, fasting or more traveling to Bali or more blah, 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 going to Tony Robbins seminars or whatever it is, right? It's not any of that shit. It's just regulate your nervous system so that you're actually in alignment with yourself. You're in your centered right wholeness, and then go from there. Right. It's first order of business from my point of view. Anyways, I'm getting a little preachy here. Obviously, I'm passionate about this. Obviously, like I said, it was really painful to go through decades of dysfunction, and then now to look back on that and realize I burned something precious that I can't get back, my time. And I don't want you to go through that. Okay. So um, that's my message to you. If you want to learn how to regulate your own nervous system, and I strongly encourage you to learn this, again, I will be talking more about it here on the channel. There will be free content about it, including, by the way, so I'm launching 2 courses. So let me tell you about this really quick, in case you're interested. So I have a free version of the course I'm about to drop, and then I have a paid version of the course I'm about to drop. So the free version is going to drop very soon here. Okay. And you can sign up. There is a link down below where you can go and just add yourself to the email list to get notified when it drops. Okay. So you'll get notified before the general public if you're on the email list. You get a link to the free course. It is free. It's literally the first third of the full course. So it's the conceptual framework. It's the ideas I'm trying to teach you, the full concept, so that you have a roadmap of how to self-heal, so that you know what self-healing looks like from my point of view, having studied all the different modalities I've studied, and having studied, all the different types of, spiritual work and personal development work. I've boiled it all down to what's the real core kernel there. And that concept, that approach, that way of working with yourself is the free course. So you get that for free. Again, that's the first third of the course. If you love the free course, you want more, you want to learn the detail how to, right? You want to learn the techniques, you want to learn the different angles on this, you want to see demos. And if you want to like a community around it, where we're going to be doing group calls regularly, group coaching, probably 2 3 hour calls where we unpack this work, where I demo it with people, where we talk about nuances around this work, then join the paid course, the full course, and you'll get access to the community. You'll get all the rest of the information on how to do this in specific, clear detail. So I'm really doing this first. The free course is my offering to you. It's an offering to the world, from my heart to the world, to try to help people start to understand the roadmap of how to heal and what to do. If you have a DIY spirit, this roadmap will be enough for you to figure out how to heal yourself, and you won't need to buy the free course. Okay. So for those of you that are serious DIYers out there or don't have the money, you can get a lot out of this free course. It's like over 4 hours of content, and it's solid content. It's not fluff. Okay. But the paid course goes into a lot of detail. I think there's a lot of value there for most people. And I would strongly encourage you, whether or not you want to take up any of that. So all that's there, sign up for the link. You'll get the emails for the free course when that drops, and then you'll get the notification for the pre-sale. That's also going to be available to people on the list before it's available to public. Okay, enough telling you about the course. I'll do other videos about the course. Sorry, but it's an important thing to tell you about, not just because I'm creating something of value and offering it to you and wanting to sell it, but also because this is my answer. This is my condensing all of everything I just shared with you down into something that's useful and practical for you. And the results of, okay, sorry. Anyways, you don't have to sign up for the course or just use the free course, but I want you to really think about this. Just think about time and how precious it is. I want you to think about, you know, regulating yourself first and foremost, and how that's all you have to learn how to do. Okay. You don't have to know why you have the issues you have. You don't have to, there are a lot of therapeutic things that don't have to happen or can happen later. But the place to start, from my point of view, is just with regulating yourself. Just bring yourself back to center more frequently. This is really what I want you to learn. Okay. Again, if I'd known that in my early 20s, my life would be so different. So, anyways, personal share. That for me is the hardest part of CPTSD, is the time burnt. It's not the emotional suffering. It's not the having a shitty, experiences with my parents. It's not the having shitty experiences, of losing out of life opportunity. All that's painful, sure. Hardest part by far is the loss of time. And I want to spare you from that. So, anyways, much love to you. I hope you're doing well out there. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. And again, keep your eyes out for the course. Sign up for the waitlist if this at all interests you. And I've got way more content on the way for you guys. I'm going to be leaning back in here to sharing content. We're going to be talking a lot about self regulation and co regulation. Even if you're just here for like psychedelic therapy stuff, this is the answer. This is what you're looking for with psychedelic therapy. By the way, just to be clear, it's not in the it's not in the getting one with the light. No, it's not in the like, oh, I realized something about that. It's not it. That shit's beautiful and important, and I don't want to hold you back from that at all. I will be speaking to that in the future, but for now, what's really important is that you understand the therapy side of things. And self-regulation and regulating the nervous system is at the heart of therapy. So, anyways, much love to you all. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.